This is the Dealer to Healer podcast.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dealer to Healer podcast with me, Liam Brown. I'm in a secret location. I'm actually just in my living room. We've got a green screen, so we just thought we'd give you a nice barn because that was the option that was going on today. Obviously, that's if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're listening, just imagine I'm anywhere. Just imagine I'm anywhere you want to imagine. Just take me somewhere on a cloud, floating through space, wherever it may be, on a magic carpet, wherever. I hope you're all enjoying your lockdown and getting some elements of growth through it, whatever that may be, even if it's just like, having conversations with your children, like digging a little bit deeper, sort of, them hours that we have in the evening, and then we have these busy weekends, and now we've just got all this time. So it's a really beautiful, it's kind of like a blessed space. And I know a lot of us are getting into the negative side of it and stuff, but whatever we're doing, we can always just flip it. It's all about our perspective, and we can just flip, reframe all the time. Always choose the positive. Like, the negatives and the real pain and the suffering that we go through are our biggest blessings, like in disguise. We just don't understand it at the time. So I've been having an amazing lockdown. I've been swimming in lakes. I've been running up mountains. Today I've run up a mountain and swam in a lake, which was epic, other than the fact my testicles wanted to run inside me and become my Adam's apple. But other than that kind of discomfort, it's a beautiful way to start the day. So, like, at the moment, my big thing is cold showers. Like, if my state's a little bit, my energy's a little bit down, I'm like, right, boom, cold shower, and it just changes. I make sure the water hits every part of my body, and it's just this real rejuvenation and this transformation. And this is what the podcast's all about, just little hacks, little skills. So I'm getting epic human beings on the show. Like today, I've got a really beautiful guest that I've been connected to through my mate Xander. She's a super epic human that I've been following. Obviously gone through the suffering, gone through the hard thing of like transforming, and it's going to be beautiful to get her story. She's now become a published author, so she's got a cravat as well. Do women get cravats as well? I'm not sure if the women get a cravat once you become published, but I've got my cravat now. Hopefully she's been sent her cravat off the publishing people, and we get to speak eventually in a little bit of a posh voice. So we both be speaking the interview really poshly. Is poshly a word? Don't know. I'm from a council estate. It's all right. So yeah, it's super empowering. I think it's our first Australian we've got on the show. She is a DJ now. She's moved into more sound healing and helping other people come from trauma, from diseases, from what's the word? Like, yeah, just overcoming adversity, going through your suffering so you can become the butterfly. Like, we've been the caterpillar, and most of us are the caterpillar for so long, and then we have to go through this transformation, this metamorphosis, and she's been through hers. And I'm really excited to get her story, because we actually have known each other for a little while, but we've never had like a proper chat. So that's the blessing of these podcasts. So what I'm going to do to start with is basically I'm going to just read out a little bit about her. And then we'll bring her into the conversation. So in 2016, Australian author Katie Valentine had a mental breakdown, sold everything she owned, and moved to Spain. Boom, full power on that. Since then, Katie's been on a long and turbulent journey back home to herself. She writes of her experience with love, growth, and all the stupid shenanigans that come with moving to a foreign country. But most importantly, she tells of her greatest love story of all, her relationship with herself. And Katie wrote that herself, which is really beautiful. So without any more waffling from me, I'm going to hand it over to the conversation with me and Katie. Everybody enjoy. She's a beautiful soul. Hello, Katie Valentine. What go on?
Thank you for that beautiful introduction. Like, every single cell in my body is smiling right now. And I won't be speaking in a posh voice because I am Australian.
You don't have posh people over there, do you?
I do, posh darling. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show. You're looking gorgeous. You're looking full power. You look like you're glowing, which is amazing.
All for you, love.
Yes. So where are you in the world, Katie?
I currently live in Lisbon in Portugal, and it's such a beautiful magnetic city. I came here 1 year ago just as a birthday present, and I fell so in love with it that I went back to Barcelona, where I was living for almost 4 years, and came and moved here and started again, which
Boom.
seems to be a prominent theme in my life.
Yeah. And some people kind of go about that as we can't ground, but you can still ground wherever you can, and you're just on an adventure, aren't you? You know.
Yeah. My
Just
life is
experience as much as possible. But you're a published author. Like obviously that's the most important thing that we want to talk about today, because we want people to experience your book, get into your book, buy your book, and learn from your experiences really, and your shenanigans. You know what I mean? You've been a party girl, and now you're kind of moving into this more holistic space. And just tell us about the book really. Give us a little kind of bit of background on the book and how it came about.
Cool. Basically, it's called Growth and Other Stories, and it's around 55 short poems and stories that I've written since I decided to go on this big journey and follow my calling. Basically, 4 years ago, I was a very well-paid DJ playing all over Australia, playing music that did not light me up, but I loved the money and also the instant gratification of, you know, being a DJ and da-da-da. And I had this gorgeous little 1-bedroom apartment in central Melbourne, and on paper my life was perfect, but I had extreme bulimia. The reason I went and got an apartment by myself was so I could hide from the world and exercise all week, and I can't really put it any lightly, but throw up, you know, after every single meal. And then on the weekends, I was able to go out and because I lived alone, carefully construct this perfect character, and I swapped the eating for alcohol. So I went out and was perfect all weekend, and then I'd come home and it was, nothing made sense. My life did not make sense. And I had Barcelona written on my mirror in lipstick for so long. My best friend was already over there. She'd made the plunge, and I looked at all of this bullshit. I hope we can swear on here.
No swearing. No motherfucking swearing, okay?
All this bullshit stuff, and I was like, if I sold these decks and all this designer stuff, whatever, and I put it on Gumtree and I said everything must go today, and I sat in the middle of my lounge room with this envelope, and I was taking $5 for $2,000 jackets, and just like any dollar would go towards these beautiful experiences that I've been able to have since I moved to Barcelona. So when I moved over there, yeah, my problems went away. I didn't have bulimia because my adrenaline and all these new experiences, but you can't run away from your problems. So later I got a job as a TV presenter in Ibiza, and my bulimia came back because I was on TV all of the time interviewing DJs who were my freaking idols. And I was just terrified of how ugly and not enough I was. So it was, you know?
Yeah.
And I had this really, really beautiful, great love with a French boy. Never fall in love with a French. And he broke my heart. And I got an Airbnb boat for like, I don't know, €8 a night in this random little Spanish town. And I got so drunk, and I sat on this little table on this little tiny dingy boat crying, and I picked up a pen and I started writing this book. And every airplane that I've caught, or every time I'm in a new city and have this euphoric feeling of being in a new place, all these new words come to me. So this is essentially my healing. I wrote all of these little stories in the notes of my phone, in various diaries, on the back of serviettes. And when quarantine happened, it was so beautiful because my final DJ gig that I did just before quarantine, I felt sick. I finished it. I felt so unfulfilled, and the instant gratification I was getting just wasn't lighting me up anymore. And I was like, shit, what am I going to do? Like, I'm so used to this adrenaline rush of being like loved and accepted. So I've been in quarantine by myself. Obviously I could go outside now, but I've been in quarantine for 2 months, and it has been beautiful. I've faced every shadow, not worthy enough, old eating disorder thoughts have come up, and I've been able to, these personal mastery tools that I have gathered over over this journey back home to myself, and I've been able to apply them and watch them work. And that is when I sat down and I went, I need to write this book. I need to start this new Instagram dedicated to the healing side of what I'm doing, because I like to keep them separate.
What's the Instagram called? Just hit us up with the Instagram quickly.
So there's, for my writing, it's Katie Valentine with 3 E's. And then if you want to look at the holistic healing side and the story of my health journey, and also sound healing and this beautiful, prominent, ancient healing that in learning this skill, I have healed so much within my body, and these bowls that I've been called to are just, so if you want to follow that, that's Healing Valentine.
Amazing.
Whew, that's my big spiel.
So what happened then? So you went through, you've done quarantine, you've released the book. How did the whole, how did you move into sort of the, the sound bowls and doing sound baths and sound healings for people, and obviously for yourself? Are you working on them with yourself as well, like with your own vibrations? Yeah.
So I went on the whole Eat, Pray, Love Bali trip last year in November, and it's so beautiful that once you have a certain hint of your purpose and you start communicating that to the universe, it starts to send you little breadcrumbs. So I was in a certain part of Bali that I didn't plan to go to, and one of my best friends I've barely spoken to these past few years was like, hey, saw you're here, you should go check out Pyramids of Chi. And I went and did this sound healing in this pyramid, and my organs were moving around, and I was crying, but it wasn't crying, like me crying. It was like this deep, bellowing cry that had been inside me for so long. And I walked out of there going, what the fuck just happened? So I did a 60-hour fast, and I went back and the following time, and had no chemicals in my body. I'd been vegan, using just coconut oil. So my body was very, very pure, and I did a different kind of sound healing on a waterbed with lights on my pineal gland. And I had a full-on DMT trip for an hour and wrote lyrics to my next track. I ran to the studio afterwards and produced this beautiful track with my friend. Nice. And then I came back to Lisbon, and like I'm saying, with the breadcrumbs to your soul, someone at my yoga studio introduced me via Instagram to this sound healer. And I saw this photo of her with these 2 beautiful bowls, and I made it my background on my phone, and I looked at it. And then the following week, I found those bowls for a quarter of the price through a different dealer. And the day that quarantine started, my bowls arrived in the mail, and it was just like this beautiful serendipitous, okay, I'm stuck inside by myself, let's go full ball in. So I've studied 2 certificates with it, and worked with a lot of people, worked on myself, and now I've curated this beautiful 90-minute session called Shifting Frequencies, which has a cacao ceremony with breath work, a guided meditation, moving into sound healing. And I truly believe that we use meditation and not medication to heal our bodies. So I'm hoping to rapidly transform people in a short amount of time as possible, because a lot of these psychologists and coaches, they want you to keep coming back. I want you to, after 4 sessions, go, I never have to see you again, like ciao.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I chose sound healing in a
Amazing. No, that's kind of what we're like with the thing with the yoga raves and stuff. That's what we're trying to do. It's like, go to a yoga class, come and do a 6-month course or something. And it's like, no, let's get through that shit today. Do you know what I mean? Let's deal with that crap that you're trying to transform. That's like, okay, it's like going and doing ayahuasca or going and seeing a counselor for 30 years. You know what I mean? And then maybe you get to the bottom of your shit. It's kind of like, no, let's do it today. Like, you might be dead tomorrow. So
exactly. And identifying the emotions gives us the power to release it. And a lot of people don't want to admit what the emotion is. And that's what I found a lot with myself. I didn't want to admit that I wasn't good enough and that I felt like an imposter. And
no, you didn't want to admit that you was thinking that. You were never that. You just didn't want to admit to people.
Yes, thank you for correcting me. Exactly.
Yeah. So what do you know when you was like rooting around sort of trying, you know, what was the biggest, I'll ask that first. Did you get to the crux of why you were feeling them things?
I went and saw a hypnotist who's now my really dear friend. I was just speaking to him before this podcast. I have had before I moved to Barcelona, I had the suicidal thoughts. I don't think I would ever have acted on it, but I had started writing the letters, and just the fact that those thoughts were circulating in my brain was a big wake-up call in itself. And they came back at the end of 2018. I'd been at a party, I hadn't slept for a few days, and I just completely broke down, and I desperately Googled someone to help me, and I got guided to my hypnotist, and I called him for an initial hour conversation, and I was like, this is what my relationships are like, and this is what my money is like, and food, and da-da-da. And he goes, you never have to tell me anything ever again. I mean, you're more than welcome to, but everything you just told me has stemmed from a low self-esteem. And since I took that, and I am now guiding myself through it, I know how to hypnotize myself. Going to my younger years, the first 7 to 14 years of our life, where our subconscious is molded by our parents, society, media, whatever. There's comment. There is comment.
I just go back to thinking that, and I'm just like, oh God, fucking the amount of shit that happened before I was 7, man. Mental.
Yeah, and getting, and in hypnosis, there are comments that people said to me in kindergarten that I didn't know had such a heavy effect on me. And as I've explored it deeper and gone and seen this little curly-haired buck-toothed girl that was such a loser, like such a loser, but like I think she's incredible. I love this little girl, but I didn't know how much I hated myself. So the prominent theme was low self-esteem. So as soon as I started figuring out why and breaking up with the people in my life that mirrored back that low self-esteem to me, is when I started getting high self-esteem. And now I'm starting to make these high self-esteem choices. So every time someone wants to catch up with me, I sit there and I go, is this a low self-esteem choice or a high self-esteem? If I want to eat a whole tub of ice cream, is this coming from a high self-worth mentality or a low? So when he gave me that tool inside of my brain, it was like he gave me this superpower of identifying I have low self-esteem. And with EFT tapping, you can change the story. I am beautiful. I do not have low self-esteem. I am radiant, magnetic, and it's so easy to change the story.
Which is the truth, but it's like so many of us just want to believe a lie, don't we?
It's easier. When I was transitioning out of bulimia, that was, even though it hurt and I felt sick every time, I was so used to that anything that wasn't that was fear. A complete and utter fear of what my life would be like without bulimia, my best friend, the one that I go to. And you can, once you flick that switch and go into the unknown, this is where life really truly begins to unlock, which is what I speak about in my book quite a bit.
Go on then, tell us what you speak about in your book quite a bit. More things about the book.
It's divided into 3 parts: love, growth, and shenanigans. So the growth part is about the caterpillar and the butterfly, and
stole my idea.
Yeah, well, you gave me that at the start of the podcast. I was like, that's such a beautiful way, because actually when the caterpillar goes into its cocoon, it doesn't know what's happening. Like the mother doesn't tell you, hey, just going to let you know you're going to turn into a cocoon and all of these butterfly cells are going to attack you and you're going to come out. It has no idea what it's doing. So it has to sit in its cocoon and go like face itself. And then it comes out as this beautiful butterfly, and ta-da! And this really clearly represents my my growth and getting my heart to connect with my brain instead of having these 2 voices in my head, getting this coherence. And that is where I grew. And then in the love, I've fallen in love with a lot of Scorpios in my life because I'm so attracted to the trauma bonding that comes with like their desperate and passionate and possessiveness. So you'll hear a lot about the Latino Scorpio, who was one of the greatest loves of my life. And there's a few personal things in there I'd rather not discuss on the podcast, but rather you read about it. And it's something that a lot of women go through, and I've had a lot of women contact me about it, and which is really, really beautiful. And then the shenanigans part is just about how we're doing it all backwards. All of these people I know are working really, really hard so they can enjoy life later. But these are the years that you should be taking the highest risk, like making the most stupidest decisions and figuring out what your calling is. Yeah. When I was 18, I spent $10,000 on a fashion freaking, diploma because I wanted to look like I was doing something. And if I just had fun and got into this stage, then I would have spent that money on the things that are like hypnosis and sound. So
yeah, but you have to go on that journey to realize. And if you didn't go on that journey, you probably would have just like done something mundane for a while. So it's like the shenanigans and the messy stuff that we do are just a progression. But then it's kind of like thinking about, okay, so if we have kids not together, who knows? Joking. But do you know what I mean? When you have your children, it's like, okay, can I empower them to maybe make different choices, to give them a more rounded, holistic education, to give them more of an open-mindedness to other realities? Well, the true reality of like that this reality is just an experience and an illusion, and we should try and enjoy it as much as possible and spread as much joy. So it's like, hopefully by going through the things that you've gone through and that I've gone through myself, that we can sort of either, empower people by our work, other people to make changes now, but then for other generations to have another perspective. You know what I mean?
And I think it's so important that these teachings should be incorporated in school, if only in the form of books in the school curriculum. But the reason I wrote this book was not only to heal my own trauma, which I did by writing this, but also I've been through this. I wish that when I was going through this, I had this book. Yeah, I wish that there was some cool, crazy 30-year-old who had been through, and could just give me some advice. And the responses that I have been getting, especially from men, is thank you for speaking up, because I feel at home inside of your words. And I'll cry talking about it because some of the responses I've had from this book, the hard copy sold out in 48 hours because I didn't buy enough, because I didn't think anyone was going to buy my book. And so now I've had to do another massive order, and it's just like,
that's amazing.
When you find your purpose and when you have your why, no matter how many people ridicule you about it, when you have that why, and my why is to help as many men and women on their journey back home to themselves through my experiences. When you have that why, all of this other chitter chatter and noise, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. But if we, like I was talking about reframing at the beginning of the show, like if we can flip it and we understand that ridicule is the tribute paid by the mediocrities to the genius, then we just go, fuck, I need as much ridicule as possible. Like I vibe off people taking the piss now, and I'm like, okay, I know I'm on the right path. Do you know what I mean? Like all my mates who I grew up with, they just think I'm into mumbo bumbo. What's the word? Mumbo bum. What's that saying? Mumbo jumbo. Mumbo jumbo. Like mumbo jumbo.
The blah blah blah.
Yeah, like so it's kind of but it's cool. But like you said, you get a review and you just feel, oh, it's worth it. You know what I mean? It's worth it. But the thing for me that I'm trying to, like, you talk about the word help, and I've always, and this can go back to the butterfly as well, or to other like crystal what they call crystallizations of like bugs and stuff, and they're trying to get out of that womb. And I'm always trying to flip the word help into the word support, because like with the butterfly, when it's trying to get out and a human goes and starts opening it and like helps them to get out, then they've not like this is actual the real thing, that the butterfly doesn't build up the strength to reach its full capacity when it's then come out of that what's the little cocoon called, like comes out of the cocoon, because it's been helped. It has to break through. It has to die, or it has to break through for then it to have the strength to go on and achieve its full potential. And that's where with my teachings or with people that I talk about, it's like I can't help you. You can only help yourself. Like, I can support you, I can give you wisdom, and I can guide you, but I have to say that I can't help you. And it's difficult because I say it even when I'm writing like bios and stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm here to help as many. I'm like, oh no, I'm not. I'm here to support as many humans as possible to empower themselves, because only you can do the work. Like, nobody else could do the work that you've done for you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you for so beautifully switching that, because that's something I've been trying to learn, especially during this quarantine and facing my shadows. And I do want to guide people, because we all have our own inner healer. I can't heal you, but I can guide you to your own inner healer. And something that I really struggled with last year was people pleasing. And I can now look back at it with gratitude. And I think gratitude is so important when you're overcoming resentment, also addiction, or going back to old vices. So when we are in a lack mentality, we go for the glass of wine or the line or the food or whatever. But when we go to a gratitude mentality, we're coming from abundance. So thank you for screwing me over and taking me off my path, because now I am on this path. Thank you for allowing me to go through this trauma, because now that I have healed it, I can guide others along the way and light the torch. And just, I sit down every morning. I have this little ceremony, and I've been coaching people through emotional eating during quarantine as well. And I've been guiding them to have these little ceremonies for themselves in the morning. So I have my cacao, and I just sit on my little cushion, and I just say, hey, thank you for this yesterday. Thank you for that situation. And thank you to myself for handling it the way that I did. Today, can I call in this, please? And I've been calling in ridiculous stuff. I'm moving into my dream apartment this weekend for a stupid price because I asked for it. And then once I strengthened my trust muscle with the universe, knowing that when my self-worth is in alignment with what I'm calling in, I started calling in random stuff. Yesterday, I was like, okay, universe, help me with moving without having to get a truck because I don't own too much stuff. Boom, a guy that I met at an after party last year randomly messaged me saying, hey, loved your book. I'd love to hang out with you. What are you doing on the weekend? I said, I'm moving. He's like, cool, I've got a big car. I'll come help you move. Let's have a beer. So just like little things like this have started to come in, and it's making me surrender and not hold on to, I have to be this by this time. It's just like, I'm going to enjoy this beautiful journey and know that I'm supported and guided.
Yeah. And knowing that you can you manifest the things that you need. And once you ask for the support, like a lot of the time, like for me as well, sometimes it's like, oh, well, I don't really know what I want at the moment, but when I sit down and know what I want, or know what I want to call in, like, oh, I need some help with this, it arrives like almost immediately, within a week anyway. Do you know what I mean? Usually.
For those listening who, like you, sometimes don't know what they want, sit down and write down what you don't want. And this is what I did with my new friendships that I've been calling in. What I went through last year gave me a very, very clear indication of what love is not. And so everything that I learned from that is not what I want. And I've been calling in these beautiful new friendships, like energy healers and yoga teachers, and just like these beautiful supportive friends that I feel like I've known for so long. And I'm just feeling so loved and supported for one of the first times in my life.
It's amazing. Just finding your own tribe, innit?
Yeah.
Finding your tribe. And like you picked up on that before with what you were saying. And it's like, you know, who am I hanging out with? What you were talking about, making that decision. Is this what was it you said? Is this coming from
low self-worth?
Yeah, is this coming from high self-worth or low self-worth? And make sure it's always coming from high self-worth, because you are the reflection of the 7 people that you chill with the most. Do you know what I mean? Like, so make sure the 7 people that you chill with are epic human beings. It doesn't mean you have to get rid of all your mates and go, guys, I'm getting rid of you because you're not high vibrational enough. But it's just like you distance from certain people. You don't be mean. It's just like, okay, I'm making a choice to protect my own energy, because the most important thing in your life is to develop yourself, for you to feel the best you can feel, not worrying about how's this going to make that person feel. Like, you know, it's like boom.
But even you don't even have to get rid of it or distance. What I've noticed is, because my internal dialogue is changing in the way that I'm treating myself, people who I've been friends with for years are changing their way that they treat me, or the phone is getting too heavy for them to pick up and call me and complain about stuff. They know that I'm not available for that anymore. If they need guidance, but this bitching and this complaining and low vibrational speaking, it doesn't happen in my life anymore. And when it does, I put up a barrier, very nicely, as you would with a child, assertively and with kindness. I put up this barrier, and I wanted this for so long. I didn't think this was freaking possible, and it is. It is.
So how long is it? Like, when did the transition begin? Like, from now, when did the transition, for like, how many years ago was the transition begin?
I can't pinpoint that at all. It didn't happen overnight. It's this slowly transition. I do believe it was the day that I found my hypnotist and I learned about the subconscious mind.
So was that your kind of like, boom, oh man, like, shit, I can see everything properly now moment?
It was and it wasn't. When you're working with the subconscious mind, things shift and they pivot, but it's not this big grand, like, and this is a lot of pressure that you put on a hypnotist, is that you have to change my life. But I noticed that bulimia faded out of my life, and it got to like, I'm almost 2 years free now. And I remember when I got to 1 year, I was like, damn, like, how did that happen? And even 3 weeks ago, I was talking to one of my girlfriends and I said, I think my depression is back. And I'm a Capricorn, Gemini, so I put depression on like a familiar cloak sometimes and disappear for a little bit. And she said to me, I was waiting for you to admit it. And I was like, damn, like, I'm back down here, but I've got all of these beautiful personal mastery tools to get myself out. And boom, 2 weeks later, I'm here, like, freaking happy.
Yeah, totally. But then it's also, you've got to have that understanding of, like, 2 weeks ago, there was some mad cosmic shizzle going on. Like, I didn't feel in my body. And I was just like, didn't feel myself. I was like, almost like I was kind of in and out of another dimension, or like sometimes I was sat there and I was just like almost looking at myself and being like, whoa, and not feeling comfortable, feeling depressed, feeling a bit down, feeling a bit like funky with everybody. It's just the universe sometimes. It's just the planets, how they're aligned. And I know there's been a lot of that going on. And you also to understand, like, I'm not going to feel sparkly every day, but I've got processes that I can use, like going and having a cold shower, that sometimes can snap me out of it. Sometimes I'm just in it for a few days and just like enjoy it, use it as a space to reflect, to just be in nature, to take some time. It's like, right, I'm not myself right now. I know it's going to pass. Like everything, it will pass. It will pass. It will pass. It will pass.
Exactly. And when planets are in retrograde, that in retrograde is for reflection. And it's such a great time to go back and feel all of the feelings, and also for your body to catch up with all the soul work that you're doing. Because when you're working with your subconscious and changing your health and all of this stuff, body doesn't quite catch up, and you have this big and you go back into the cocoon, and then you come back out a different color butterfly.
Beautiful butterfly. Butterfly. So, like, just tell us about the DJ lifestyle a little bit. Let's like take it to that place about how, you know, the late nights, the hedonism, the drugs, the party scene, and I guess there must have been a resistance, or was you just not liking it that much that there wasn't a resistance for coming away?
This is my identity. I've been doing this for a decade. I started at 21 years old, where as I said, I thought I was the biggest loser. So I started DJing at 21. I was a party girl beforehand. I was a socialite. So all of my friends were giving me gigs. So I was having 4 gigs a week, getting paid, cash in hand, free drinks. And I was like, yes. I was working in a costume store at the time that shut down. I was like, all right, let's go all in with DJing. Had my party years and my drug years. Then I got signed to an agency, and then I was like, okay, I make a promise to myself, I will not do drugs before I DJ, and I will be very careful with the alcohol. But then when I finished, you have this massive high of connecting with all of these people and them looking up to you. You don't want to go back to your hotel room or go home. You want to continue the party and continue that attention. So I would go to after parties and be up for days and then have to go to the club again that night, and stuffing up my circadian rhythm. So it would take me till Wednesday to feel normal again, and then Friday I was flying to a different city. But I'm so grateful for it because, number one, I saw all of Australia, like rural, weird ass towns that I never would have gotten to experience. 2, it gave me the greatest, funnest 20s ever, and I made money doing it. And 3, I love music. And so when I did change my name, I had a big identity cleanup about 3 years ago. I changed from my name to Lola. So then I could have these 2 different identities. So there was the girl who got up on stage on the weekends and was the fun. And then there was the Katie who came home and read about freaking neuroscience during the week. And I could differentiate between these 2 different sides of self. And I also had so much shame when I started to become a writer. I started my blog. I didn't want to talk about anxiety and depression, and all of these cool scene people see me writing about it. And I remember having a few comments going like, ooh, I hope I'm not giving you anxiety in the clubs. And I had so much shame around my writing. So I went and deleted my blog. All of this stuff, like just these 2 identities, it was freaking exhausting. And I went and did an Australian tour just recently and played in Bali as well. And I just felt really disconnected. Really, really disconnected. It was like, how do I expect you guys to believe me jumping up and down here when I don't believe me? And it just got to like, to the point where I was playing in Barcelona in a huge, beautiful club that was my dream for so long, and I felt resistance. Yeah. So this quarantine took it away from me. And now when I do go back into it, I'll be a DJ when I'm freaking 60. Okay. When I do go back into it, I'll be so much more conscious of the gigs that I choose. So it'll be daytime parties and not after parties. I was playing in Berlin from 7 o'clock in the morning till 11, and like having to get up and do a tequila shot for breakfast and walk into a club of like hundreds of sweaty people and have to get on their level, and then I'd be discombobulated. And so, yeah, to answer your question, there was no resistance, and I'm so happy to reset myself and move forward.
Yeah. So are you like made a conscious decision to like only play music that you want to play now, or is it still like, I want to play music I want to play? There are, because I come from the commercial background of being Katie Valentine playing EDM, I did have this certain need for applause and the woos and the, so I did unintentionally incorporate a bit of cheese into my sets, and now I've really, really found my sound. But I haven't even listened to music during this quarantine. I listen to any techno, any of the stuff that I love. But my intention now, me and one of my friends are working in the studio. We're turning every single poem in my book into a dance track, because I really believe that there's no tracks out there that you hear at 5 o'clock in the morning that have good lyrics. It's like, it's jack your body, it's house. I want to have some of the old stuff does though. Do you know what I mean? Like stuff by the Beloved and things like, it's like shit when you actually, because obviously for me, when I had an awakening, like everything tastes different. everything I hear is different. Like every word has a different meaning. But before it was just like words and they didn't resonate. And now it's like when you have a breakup and you're listening to Smooth FM, it's like every song you're like, oh my God, this one's for me. Do you know what I mean? You're like...
And it's so funny you say that, because I listened to an old DJ mix the other day from years ago, and it had a track saying, rock me with your lower frequency. And the whole point of me doing this sound healing and incorporating it into dance music is to get the higher chakra vibrational 420 hertz music back into the clubs. And I used to play tracks that say rock me with your lower frequency, like, ugh.
It's almost satanic, isn't it, really? But that's the thing, like in them, I cross it over a lot with the yoga raves now. Like we're trying to induce the states that you get a lot from clubbing, and the room just goes like, people are like tripping balls, man. And all they've done, they've had a little bit of cacao and we've danced, we've played that music, do you know what I mean? And we've done a massive yoga practice. So everyone's just like fully open, and we start with the lower chakras and build it up. But it's like, it's possible to reach those states of euphoria. But what you're talking about is play music for them higher chakras. You should be doing, because them higher chakras in people who are in drug states are open. Do you know what I mean? The heart's open. Like for me, every drug that I did was a different stage of opening me, like in a beautiful way. And then you start to abuse the drugs. Like I even say now, like my yogis come up to me, oh, do you not drink? And I'm like, well, I didn't drink for a long time, but now if I want to have a beer, I'll have a beer. It's all on my terms though. And I probably won't be drunk. There's probably a good chance I won't get drunk. But then there's another like the other year, I went to watch England football. I was like, right, I'm going to get pissed today with my mates. You know what I mean? All my old mates. And then I had one beer and I was like, my nephew went to get me a pint. And I was like, no, just have a lime and soda. And it wasn't because I just was like, didn't like the taste. And it wasn't that I didn't want to get drunk. I was just like, I'm not feeling the taste. So it's whatever I'm feeling in that time. Maybe in my life, there will be a point where I'm like, right, I'm going to drink 5 beers, you know what I mean? Or something. And I'll get a little bit tipsy, but there's no pressure on it. And then that's also the thing with the drugs, like this initial experience of using these drugs opens a pathway, opens a new connection in the brain to some part of the body, to the heart, to the mind, to controlling things, to creativity. But then we start to abuse it. So we get past that where it's having no positive influence on our lives. It actually turns into being a negative experience. And like you were talking about, you know, staying up all day, when you're in that environment, you've got the same feeling as if you're taking a long haul flight every day. It's the same thing that you're screwing with your body. Your body's just out of kilter, and you're almost having these out of body experiences all the time. So it's like, okay, how can I rein it in? And I was talking to DJ Relo about it, because he was on my podcast, and who's your ex-boyfriend? Yeah. Can I get some more ex-boyfriends on? Can I have all of them?
Oh, I don't think you got enough time in the world for my
I'll just do a multiple zoom camera. No, but we was talking to him about it, and he was like, you know, daytime raves or daytime parties are where it's at now, because it's not messing up everyone's physiology as much as the nighttime stuff.
And that's such a clear, significant just on how people are changing the story in their heads. I hate this whole enlightenment and waking up, but people are actually starting to open their eyes and realize, especially in this quarantine, that you don't really need to go out and stay out until 9 a.m. to get this euphoric state. And I actually had a double cacao ceremony this morning. I took it for a walk to my favorite lookout because a double drop, which is very different to the double dropping. But I sat with my guides and I said, hey, I'm doing this podcast with Liam today. Please give me the words. Like, please use me as a vessel for the words that people need to hear. And I didn't prepare for this podcast. And the cacao came through me, and I am high as fuck right now. I'm talking so fast, so sorry everyone, but these words are just channeling through me that I cannot get them out fast enough.
Amazing. Keep going.
I used to think I could only be like this or write like this. After a few wines, I had this whole Charles Bukowski thing going on where I thought I had to be drunk to write.
A lot of people think they have to be high, they have to be stoned to write as well. And it's like, no, it's in there. It's just connecting, like you said, you know, let me be a channel for God's
Mm.
God's words to pour out of me, for being this vessel that I am, you know, to carry out God's work, I guess. No, that's really beautiful. But yeah, even like, you know, I do a cacao ceremony, and like obviously on Facebook all my old mates see it and they're like, what is this bullshit? Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
I said, what's the bullshit? Like, the whole world is addicted to chocolate. It has 3% of the ingredients of a actual, you know, 100% cacao. It gets bastardized so much, and you're actually, yeah, the whole world's addicted to it, but
Yeah.
they're addicted to the taste. But more than anything, in that quality of chocolate, people are addicted to the sugar. Like, it's this beautiful rush of the chocolate taste with the sugar. But then when you go into the cacao, and it's like, oh my God, like the ceremonies and the awakenings that people discover through the cacao is so beautiful. It's such a beautiful, subtle medicine, you know what I mean?
I've only been doing it for 8 days, and like it's really transformed my writing, my way of speaking to myself, my routines during the day. Like, I just feel so much more connected in myself, and I call it the goddess diet because I get to have chocolate for breakfast every single morning. Like, how fucking
Exactly. Start with a hot chocolate. Don't have it too late at night though, because you'd be up vibing all night.
I'm so hyperactive that I have to do it
Yeah.
by at least 9 a.m.
Yeah, definitely. Because I did a nighttime ceremony once at my house, and well, it wasn't nighttime. It was like 6 p.m. Do you know what I mean? And with my girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend, we were just in bed, and we were just like, I can't get, like, I feel like I've been on a pill. I cannot get to sleep. Like, we just like, oh, let's just do something. Maybe watch the film or something. But we just like vibing for like
Yeah,
like 4 a.m. Just couldn't come down. And it's like, wow, it's
yeah.
powerful. So do your cacao about 2 p.m. at the latest. Do you know what I mean? If you want to go
Yeah,
to bed.
100%.
Yeah. So what I want to now discover is, obviously you're gonna carry on DJing, yeah? Where's the other side of it going? Where's the holistic? What's your dream, and where do you see yourself? How do you see yourself getting to that dream through this more holistic path?
That's a really beautiful question. Thank you. For me, moving forward is to continue being a writer. It is my happiness. It is not my work. Just to incorporate more writing, more love like that in my life. My dream, ideally, is to just get to travel as a sound healer and a writer. I've done my authentic code, which is something that I have written up on my wall. And when I go to make a decision, I'm like, is it sitting in these? And rest and healing is my number one. So I need sleep in order to function. My meditations and my hypnosis and my sound healing that I do on myself, that all comes number one. I look after me for you, and I hope that you look after you for me.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm able to function and travel. New experiences, new people, new is where I write, like I told you before. So travel is really, really important to me. And then there's the story. So using my story through my podcast, through other people's podcasts, through my blog, through writing, that as well, and also sound healing. So I'm a non-specific manifester, so I know how I want to feel, but I don't know what it's going to look like. But I know that I am going to have this beautiful life full of love, travel, abundance, acceptance, and putting my creative gifts out into the world. So I just say it like that and leave the rest up to the universe.
Sounds pretty full power.
Yeah.
pretty magical. That's amazing. Yeah. I think that is sometimes, because when, you know, we do sometimes make these specific manifestations, or this is my goal, and then actually sometimes the universe can throw something at us that's even better, but we can miss it and not get to it till like 3 years later, where, you know, because we're like so channeled on this one path, this one thing, and then sometimes things just divert you off, and you obviously going through your list of like, is this resonating with me? But yeah, sometimes they are diversions that will take you off the path, but
Mm.
sometimes sometimes a diversion is the path. You know what I mean? The authentic self path, the authentic path that God wants you to take. So it's just
Exactly.
like having a good set of values to assess those situations.
Values and your why and your authentic code, which I was saying, which I learned through someone called Lacey Phillips. She works a lot with manifestation and unblocking your childhood and all of these things. So I really highly suggest checking her out.
What's her name again? Sorry?
Lacey Phillips.
Lacey Phillips.
And I just really suggest getting clear on what you don't want, so then you're clear on what you do want, but being open to how it manifests. So if you want to feel in your relationship loved, seen, taken care of, whatever it is, be open to how that manifests. If you're into like tattooed, blue-eyed Frenchmen, Scorpio Latinos like I am, sometimes you might fall in love with the person that I was in love with last year, who was completely like not what I thought it would be like, but I felt seen and heard, supported and loved. And so you have to be really open to what that is going to look like for you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's really, really beautiful, kind of inspiring thing for, especially for women. Do you know what I mean? Obviously it translates to men as well, but especially for women and moving into this age of the feminine where we want super empowered women to be kind of like taking the world forward in a way, and then kind of allowing men to get more in touch with the feminine side, so that men or women can rule, or guide. Not even rule. We don't want rulers. We want guides. We want people that are inspirational. Like, there's nobody in power probably anywhere in the world that you're like, God, that person's inspiring. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want someone that's inspiring. My friend delivery girl just said she's inspiring. She is inspiring. She is inspiring. She brought me a cup of tea, so she's inspiring. She can be whatever she wants if she brings me tea regularly.
Oh, Liam, thank you so much for this. I've got to
nice
stop.
one, darling. So yeah, so basically, thank you, Katie. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and sharing your story. Just before we leave it, will you just hit us up with all your links, all your website, and hit us, obviously I'm going to include it in the show notes, but hit us up with anything where people can find out information about you or follow you, whatever.
I'll link to my Instagrams and my website. You can book a coaching call. You can book an online sound healing in person if you're in Lisbon. And yeah, just by you following me or reading my blog is putting energy towards my work. So thank you for letting me be on this podcast and putting me out there.
Thank you very much for sharing all your wisdom. Absolutely lovely to chat to you. So have a beautiful day.
You too, Liam.
Peace and love. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
This is the Dealer to Healer podcast.
So that was Katie Valentine. What an absolutely incredible woman. So happy to have her on the show and hear her wisdom and I just love the conversations, man. I love like people, do you know what I mean? Like sometimes a lot of people like that seem out of reach, like they're being, they're in this glitzy lifestyle, the DJing to all these people, and you just sort of almost, you do look up to him, and that must put a lot of pressure on them as people, because you just think that you're like this mere mortal, and you're looking at that person, you're like, wow, they must have this amazing life, and they must have this, and they're going here and there, and yeah, it kind of, it's appealing when you're in your 20s, in it, but then when you kind of grow a little bit, you're like, that must be hard work, that must be a lot of pressure. That must kind of like mess with your system a little bit, kind of being up all night and flying here, there, and everywhere. So it's almost like a lot of the DJs that I speak to is kind of like the cold turkey, and to change and come out of it and step back from it a little bit and find something that's kind of more in line with their natural rhythm of the body. So it's just super important to kind of look at their journeys, and obviously ours are different, everybody's is different, and go, right, okay, so what can I shift in my life that's not serving me? What can I make better? What relationship do I need to step back from? What behavior do I need to stop doing because it's making me not feel amazing? Do you know what I mean? Am I eating tons of cheese? When she talked about that temple of chi, or was it a pyramid of chi? I thought she said cheese. I was like, why is she going to a pyramid of cheese, man? I was like, Jesus, I got loads of friends who'd love to go there. I used to love Roquefort when I was a cheese eater. That was a nice French cheese. I used to smash a lot of that, like driving around the French countryside. So nice one to Katie. Hit her up on Instagram. She's an amazing human being. Gorgeous inside and out, and it was super empowering to have the conversation, and it's good to be back having the conversations. Like, I love doing the podcasts. We've got a few epic guests lined up for you, quite a few more podcasts coming out soon, so yeah, keep listening, and please just spread the love of the podcast. If you're getting something from it, like, please just share it on your socials, or tell people about it, talk about the podcast, because we just want to get, like, just keep getting amazing humans for you to learn from, for you to listen to, and for me to, like, say stupid stuff in front of. That's it really, isn't it? Like, just everything can be, we can always bring things down to the lightheartedness. And I was going to bring up the pyramid of cheese during the podcast, but I was like, no, she's flowing, man. Let her go. Let's not talk about your pyramid of cheese. So yeah, thank you everybody for listening. We've got on Facebook, on my Liam Brown Love Facebook page, we have got the Two Banger Dance Party, which is every Tuesday and Friday until this kind of the world changes and people can go back to work and stuff. But we might carry that on, actually, because I really enjoy it, and we've got an epic little crowd that come and dance on a Tuesday and Friday. And then going forward as well, the yoga raves on every Sunday. That will change when everything gets back to normal, because we'll be putting on the live events all over the country. So keep checking that out. Please go and have a look at my book, Dealer to Healer. Read some of the reviews if you're like, I'm not sure about reading this book, because like it's empowering people. It's making people make positive changes, feel inspired, feel like they want to grow, feel like they can do stuff. Do you know what I mean? That they kind of thought they couldn't before. So go and check the book out, Dealer to Healer. Go and check Katie Valentine's book out, Growth, which is on Amazon as well. What else? liambrown.com. All the stuff about the yoga raves on there. We got some t-shirts for sale. If anyone wants a t-shirt, I think they're 12 quid. We can deliver them for 12 quid in the UK. We're messing them up. We've been tie-dyeing them and stuff. And then we've got all our new logos and stuff are coming out for Yoga Rave and for Stone Cold Sober and for me, for liambrown.com. So that's something that's exciting. I've got a book of poetry that's coming out called Dealer Forget, Healer Remember. That'll be out in the next couple of weeks. I've just got to sit down in front of my laptop and get some stuff done. So yeah, that's it really. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Have whatever you're up to, like, empower yourself, feel amazing, do something that is going to inspire you, that's going to, like, go and have a cold shower, like just pulsate, just vibrate. I cannot get over talking about how good having a cold shower is, how much it changes your state, how much it can lift you, and just like let out don't be in the shower. Don't be like, it's too cold. Just take it. Just like, I'm taking this, like, and then eventually you just get in. It's like, it doesn't even make you want to go and like scream like a little child, you know what I mean? You just like, I'm in the water, and make sure the water goes all over your body, because it just invigorates all the cells all over the body. I'm going to keep going on about cold showers for a while, or jump in a cold lake like I did today, and it's like, come on, we got this, let's go. So whatever you're doing, you've got this, you're super, you're amazing, and you're going to smash it out of the park, whatever you put your mind into, as long as it's coming from a heart space, you know what I mean? So full power to you all. Have a beautiful day. Booyah. Thank you so much for listening to the Dealers a Healer podcast. Please stay tuned for more episodes of transformation, of metamorphosis, of people becoming the most beautiful version of themselves, and teaching you, the listeners, how to become the most beautiful version of yourself. So if you want all that information, all that knowledge, all these amazing guests that I've got on my show, please subscribe. There's a subscribe button somewhere on this screen, so please just link onto that. You'll get a notification straight away of any new episodes, and I promise you, I've got epic epic guests coming up, so please stay tuned. If you want to know anything else about the Dealer to Healer movement, of what I've got going on, about my links to the book, links to my website, links to my music, everything, please go in the description below. It's just down there somewhere. You just hit description and everything, it'll tell you everything. So nice one, have a beautiful day, take it easy, and remember, please subscribe, that would be amazing. Peace.